Hey, you've reached howtoplayanySong.com. My name is Joe with the Rock and Roll Conservatory, and in this video series, we're going to talk about the stripped-down basics of guitar. It's kind of meant for the guitar player who just got their guitar. They don't know what all this stuff is. They don't know the names of their strings. And speaking of which, I've gotten a lot of email from people who, when I talk about in the rest of the guitar videos what strings I'm on, they don't know what I'm talking about. You have to understand the names of your strings, people. So we're going to go over that in this video series, and we're just going to cover a lot of the basics, a few chords, a few exercises, and just some stuff to get your feet wet, so to speak, on what this instrument is. Let's get started. All right, in this last segment of Guitar 101, we're going to talk about your 3 basic minor chords. Now, there's actually 5 minor chords that I would want to teach you, but the other 2 are a little bit more advanced. So let's just stick to the 3. With the 5 chords we just learned in the previous segment and the 3 chords we're going to learn now, they're going to cover a ton of songs that you'll be able to play now. But let's get to the minors. Let's start with an E minor. Now, it's a lot like an E major. In fact, let's form our E major. If you remember, it's our index finger on the 1st fret of the G, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A, and the ring finger on the 2nd fret of the D. This is an E major. All we've got to do to make an E minor, it's super simple. Just take our index finger off. And you can hear now, it sounds a little more dark, a little more depressing. By saying minor, it's music E's for a sad or depressing chord. That starts with an E in the case of E minor. E, sad and depressing. See how that works? So an E minor chord is just your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A and your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the D, and you strum all the strings. It's probably one of the easiest chords we learn how to play. The next chord we're going to learn is an A minor. Let's form our A major, and we'll see the difference between the two. If you remember, our A major is our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D, our ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G, and our pinky on the 2nd fret of the B. This is the A major, strummed from the A string down. It's a happy chord that starts with an A note. A, happy. Now, with all our fingers in place, take our index finger and put it on the 1st fret of the B string. This is actually right behind your pinky. You shouldn't be able to hear yourself do it. It should sound exactly the same if we put our index finger on the 1st fret of the B. But to make the A minor, we're just going to lift our pinky off now to reveal that note below it. So we're going from the 2nd fret of the A with our pinky to the 1st fret of the, the 2nd fret of the B string to the 1st fret of the B string with our index here. This should sound like a darker version of the same chord. So we have our index finger on the 1st fret of the B, our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D, and our ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G. We strum from the A string down. And if we want to make the major, we just put our pinky back on the 2nd fret of the B. You hear that? It's almost the same chord, but one's a happy version, one's a sad version. The last chord we'll learn is a D minor. It's a little bit different than the D major. You can see the D major is our index finger on the 2nd fret of the G, our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the high E, and our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and we strum from the D string down. Well, what we're going to do is switch these fingers around. I want you to put your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G, where your index finger just was. And then we're going to take our index finger and put it on the 1st fret of the high E. If you recall, before it was on the 2nd fret of the high E, well, we're just shifting that one down 1 to the 1st fret of the high E. So it sounds like this. Just a darker version of the exact same chord. So it's your index finger on the 1st fret of the high E, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G, and your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B. And we strum from the D string down. If we wanted to make that into a D major, we could kind of slide our index finger up to the 2nd fret there. D major. All right, let's do some flat hand exercises on those 3 minor chords. Go ahead and put your hand flat, and I'm going to call out the chord, and you play it. Here we go. E minor, go. You should be putting your middle finger on the second fret of the A string, your ring finger on the second fret of the D string, and we're going to strum all the strings. And I'll give you some time to catch up if you're still putting your fingers in place. And when you're done, just put your hand flat again. Make sure all the strings ring out clearly and kind of adjust until they do. All right, playing E minor, go. Middle finger, second fret A string, ring finger, second fret D, strum all the strings. All right, let's do that one more time. Put your hand flat and form an E minor chord, go. We want to get you to the point that you can be able to play it with both fingers going into place at the same time, not just one at a time. But it just takes some repetition, as you know. All right, put your hand flat. We're going to switch to the A minor. Remember, it's the first fret of the B string, second fret of the D, and second fret of the G, like this. And we strum from the A string down, like that. Go flat hand, and form an A minor chord. Go. Take your time, get your fingers in place, and keep working at it till the notes are clear. And when you're done, put your hand flat again. Form an A minor. Go. Index finger, first fret of the B. Middle finger, second fret of the D. Ring finger, second fret of the G. Strum from the A string down. If it takes you a while to do it, no problem. Just take your time on it. And when you're done, put your hand flat one more time. And form an A minor chord. Go. All right, and when you're done with that one, put your hand flat again. Do we need another break? Okay, then we'll cut me talking about need another break out. Here we go. All right, we're going to do a D minor chord, which, if you recall, is our index finger on the first fret of the E, our middle finger on the second fret of the G, and our ring finger on the third fret of the B, strumming from the D string down, like that, right? All right, put your hand flat and play a D minor chord. Go. Take your time on it, make sure all your notes are clear, and when you're done, put your hand flat again. Lastly, let's put our hand flat again. Form a D minor chord. Go. And like I've said, if it takes a while to get your fingers in place, that's totally okay. If your fingers are tender and sore, that's totally normal, and the more you work at it, the better you get at it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't, just rewind the video and watch it again. For How to Play Any Song, this is Joe Wiles, and I'll see you again.